You were my first love, which means you were my first lesson in accepting less than I deserved. I thought what we had was normal. The jealousy, the control, the way you made me earn your attention. I didn't know any better. I'm going to tell you something that's going to shatter the nostalgia and finally help you stop repeating the pattern. Ready? You didn't teach me how to love. You taught me how to lose myself. And here's what you don't know yet. You were 15 years old the first time someone showed you what love looked like and got it completely wrong. And you've been chasing that broken blueprint ever since. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will rewrite everything you thought you knew about why every relationship after felt familiar. It wasn't that you hurt me. It wasn't even that you were toxic. It was something so much more permanent. You were the template. Every relationship after you wasn't new. It was just a different version of the same dynamic, the same push and pull, the same anxiety disguised as passion, the same feeling that I had to earn love instead of receive it. I thought I had a type. I didn't have a type. I had a wound. And I kept choosing people who knew exactly how to reopen it. And here's what you'll never forget. I thought what we had was love. The intensity, the drama, the way I couldn't breathe without you. I called it passion. It was anxiety. I called it love. It was dependency. I called it normal. It was the foundation of every unhealthy relationship I'd have for the next decade. Because you were my first. And first loves don't just teach you what love is, they teach you what to expect, what to tolerate, what to mistake for care. You taught me that love is jealousy proving someone cares. That love is control disguised as protection. That love is inconsistency keeping you desperate for attention. You taught me wrong, and I didn't know it until I'd repeated your lesson 10 times over. But the real damage wasn't what you did. The real damage was that I carried you into every relationship after. I chose people who treated me the way you did. Not because I wanted to be hurt again, because that's what my nervous system recognized as love. The chaos felt like chemistry. The anxiety felt like attraction. The inconsistency felt like excitement. I thought I was choosing different people. I was choosing the same feeling. And every time someone healthy showed up, someone consistent, stable, available, I got bored. I called them boring. I said there was no spark. The truth. They didn't activate my trauma. And my body had learned that love without trauma wasn't love at all. Close your eyes, you're 15 years old again. Can you see it? Can you feel what it felt like to experience love for the first time and have it be conditional? Maybe it was the first time someone made you feel special and then withdrew it when you didn't behave right. Maybe it was learning that love requires performance. Maybe it was the moment you learned that intensity equals depth. You didn't know this was wrong. This was your education. And first lessons stick. They become the lens through which you see every relationship after. You learned that love hurts. That love is earned through sacrifice. That love means losing pieces of yourself to keep someone interested. You thought this was normal, because it was your normal. And that's when the truth revealed itself. Not about them. About the wound you've been carrying since you were 15 years old. The wound that made you believe toxic love is the only love that's real. The one that whispered, if it doesn't hurt a little, it's not real. If I'm not anxious, I'm not invested. If they're too available, they don't really want me. You didn't create that wound. Your first love carved it into you. So here's the truth. You've been avoiding the one that's going to hurt more than anything I've said so far. You weren't unlucky in love. You were repeating your first love over and over, hoping a different person would finally love you right. That's why every relationship felt familiar. That's why you kept choosing the same type. That's why healthy felt boring. Because accepting the truth would have meant facing something unbearable. Your first love wasn't teaching you about love. They were teaching you about their damage, and you learned the lesson so well you made it your own. And then, something broke, not your heart. That had been breaking in the same way for years. Something deeper, the belief you'd been carrying since you were 15 years old. The one that said, "This is what love feels like." That belief, it finally shattered. The shift didn't happen when you ended another toxic relationship. Not when you finally chose someone healthy. Not even when someone pointed out the pattern. It happened when you asked yourself a question you'd been running from since your first love ended. Not why do I keep choosing the wrong people, but why does healthy love feel wrong? When you stopped blaming your choices and started examining your blueprint. When you realized the person who broke you wasn't your most recent ex, it was your first love. You stopped repeating the pattern the day you realized your first love wasn't a love story, it was a cautionary tale. You kept trying to rewrite. Here's what you learned when you finally saw it clearly. They didn't love you wrong because you weren't lovable. They loved you wrong because they didn't know how to love right. They were young, immature, dealing with their own wounds, and you were there, learning what love was from someone who didn't know either. Neither of you knew better, but you carried their version of love, like it was gospel, and spent years trying to find someone who would love you the same way, but better. You can't improve a broken blueprint. You can only build a new one. You don't resent them anymore. Not the way you used to, because the anger dissolved. The moment you realized they weren't your great love story. They were your origin story for every unhealthy pattern after. Here's what nobody tells you about first loves. They're not special because they're perfect. They're formative because their first experiences with anything become your baseline. Your first love taught you what to expect, what to tolerate, what to call normal, and you believed them. Because how were you supposed to know that jealousy isn't love, that control isn't care, that anxiety isn't attraction? You were learning, and they were a terrible teacher. You're rebuilding now, not by finding someone who loves you better than your first love, by learning what love actually is. Someone who knows. Love is not drama. Love is not earned. And you will never again mistake anxiety for passion. You are unlearning what your first love taught you. You are teaching yourself that calm can be deep. You are releasing the belief that healthy is boring. You are learning that consistency is not lack of interest. And if someone tries to teach you the same lessons your first love did, you walk not because you're jaded, not because you don't believe in love, because you finally know what love isn't, because you finally understand your first love wasn't your soulmate who got away. They were the person who taught you to accept the wrong kind of love. So here's the final truth, the one you'll carry forward. Every toxic relationship after them wasn't bad luck. It was you repeating a lesson you learned at 15. They didn't ruin your life. They just set the pattern in motion. And now you know. You don't need to find a better version of your first love. You need to completely unlearn what they taught you. If this landed in your chest like it was written for you, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you're still choosing people who feel like your first love, I need you to hear this one more time. Every toxic relationship after them wasn't bad luck. It was you repeating a lesson you learned at 15. Stop trying to find a better version of your first love. You don't need someone who loves you the way they did, but better. You need someone who loves you completely differently. I'll see you in the next one.